Welcome back to the Life Burst podcast, where we're going to talk about the set review of Stand Up Diva. We're going to talk about white currently, and again, apologizing that all of these are going to be on the wiki. We did not get the actual English cards in time, and I want to review all these so that it gets out on time for you guys, and you know what you're looking forward to when you're ripping open packs. I'm going to jump right into it. I really don't want to take too much time on the color section. There's a lot of cards to go through. The first one's going to be Equel, Blessed Evil. It's a demon that is actually worth mentioning for a level 1 white Signy. Its power is 2,000. Its card text is enter, colorless. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Reveal a demon from among them, add it to your hand, put the rest on the bottom in any order. So, guys, this is basically Haniel, but it's Haniel for demons. Demons specifically. And it's slightly more powerful because you're going to be able to find level 3s with it, which, cough cough, is good, for basically the same cost. There will be demon tribal support in the next set. Currently, I don't think this is very good, but it's probably worth mentioning that if you're playing Uchu no Hajimari, you like Fenrir's probably, and this gets you a Fenrir. So I would still play this right now casually in Uchu. As soon as demon tribals become better, white is actually a very good demon color. So this is something that you might want to scoop up a couple copies of if you're looking to play that type of tribal. If you're not, you can pass on this. This is very bad otherwise. I would not play this in anything less than probably 28 demons in your deck. So just consider that. The next one is Typo. Typo Natural Planet. This one has level 1, power 3,000. Cosmos class, that doesn't really matter right now. It is constant during your opponent's turn, as long as there's a level 1 Signy in your enter zone. This Signy gets 4,000 power. Its life burst is target 1 Signy on your opponent's field until end of turn. It gets constant, can attack, and you draw a card. This card's great. This card's awesome. It is very, very easy to control having a level 1 Signy in your enter zone, especially if you have, for example, something that enter charges you on turn 1. So if you have like a green assist that does that, it's very, very good. So this is a strong choice for a level 1 Signy, especially if you're planning to wall. Yes, this doesn't have a lot of power in its aggression, but it has a lot of power in its defense, and it's a way that gets 7,000. That's going to be our new benchmark for level 1s from basically this set moving forward. Is you want your level 1s to be able to kill 7,000s. It is a way that your opponent can't really interact with it. Plus the fact that it's just a defensive Signy, period. And in its defensive powers, it's very good. Right? It is defensive as in it is 7,000 power on your opponent's turn. There's really nothing they can do about it. And if it's flipped on a life burst, it also is defensive. It allows you to stop an attack. Generally speaking, you like life bursts that are more defensive than offensive in this game, because it's one of the few ways to change the math of a race. Typo is going to be a staple. You're going to see it a lot. You're going to see it not just in decks like Nova, even though Nova is going to use it very well. You're going to see it in a bunch of decks moving forward. So grab your Typos. They're very good. While we're talking about very good stuff, did I miss a level 1? It feels like I did somewhere. Just looking real quick. Yeah, this is Blessed Angel. Here we go. Agilia, Blessed Angel. Whenever the Signy attacks, you may discard 2 Angel Signy. If you do, you get to draw 3 cards. It's a level 1, it's got power 1,000 or less, and it has a relevant Signy type, which is Angel. So, is this card good? And the answer is meh. It's got an okay, it's okay. It allows you to basically draw cards if you're in an Angel deck. You get to up your card advantage by 1. And it also allows you to discard angels in white, which is, it's a little hard to get discard fodder in white. And there's a lot of angels that enjoy seeing stuff in the trash. So this is probably let's say this is playable. It's optimal in an angel deck and then not good elsewhere, clearly. But it's also probably pretty okay in an angel deck. It doesn't necessarily do anything that you really need in an angel deck, so it could be outclassed in the future. But for now, if you're looking at white-red angels, and your choices are white-red angels, or red, blue, green angels. That's really the only places that you can go with angels right now. This is something to consider because the pool isn't huge. The next one is going to be Ishikirimaru. Now, Ishikirimaru is a level 2 Signy with power 8,000, but on your opponent's turn, it gets plus 4,000 power, so it's 12,000 on your opponent's turn. There's no way to interact with that. It just is what it is. You have an auto once a turn ability, which allows you that if any other Signy enter the field, you can look at the top card of your deck and you can put it on the bottom, so it's basically Scry 1. And this is an auto, which means it can trigger on your opponent's turn if you, for example, hit a Haniel Life Burst. Then, speaking of Haniel Life Burst, look at that. It's got a Life Burst. That is the Haniel Life Burst. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Reveal one Signy among them, add it to your hand, or put it on the field. Put the rest on your bottom in any order. So, this card's also going to be a staple moving forward. It's very good in Nova, because it'll find you guards, and Nova needs guards to work with. It'll also lane clutter, and that's always a good thing to do. Plus, it's a wall, so it's going to excel at being defensive. The auto once a turn ability seems innocuous, but it's actually quite good. Being able to say, I'm going to filter to my late game win conditions while I'm still defending myself is quite strong, and it is very hard to kill 12,000 level 2s. It's just incredibly hard. And if you are a deck full of these defensive walls, then suddenly the few ways that they can take out level 12,000 powers means that eventually they run out of the gas to take out 12,000 powers. 8,000 is also nothing to sneeze at on the attack, so it's quite a good level 2 Signy. It's a staple. There's a lot of good white cards in this set. Let's move forward. Codeheart A Rimlight. Guys, also a staple here. Aside from being the being the Pixar lamp, it's just a Falcor, right? It's a Falcolor. It's got a life burst, target up to 2 Signy on your opponent's field until the end of turn. They gain constant can attack, draw a card. You're going to want to run this probably over Folklore in your no limit decks. Having access to white in order to do Akano Bye-Bye's effect is probably better than having access of blue. But blue's got Falcolore, white's got this, and green's got another one as well that's similar to this. So we're starting to see a lot of defensive Signy start to exist in other colors, which is great. This is also a great white defensive Signy. It's a staple. You're going to see it used quite often. Ironically, when you see Folklores, you're going to see them more in defensive decks, and then you're going to see Codeheart Rimlights in aggressive decks, because aggressive decks still want access to this life burst. 10,000 is a strong number to hit on level 2s. It kills most level 2s and under. So this is a good card. Play it, right? It's only got one downside, and we're gonna get to that card, don't worry. But yeah, it's only got one downside. So code Antielena is going to be a Mectone Legacy. Ignore the fact that it has wings. It's a level 2, 5,000. It has a constant ability, which is all players can't cast non-white spells. This is interesting, right? And the fact that it says cast means that it's going to stop spells. It's not going to stop Signys. Most Signys will still kill it, and you've got to bear in mind in Wixoss, there's a lot of removal attached to Signys, so it's probably fine. It's probably not going to do you very well. I'm going to play this one down as viable. If you know for sure that you're like seeing a very aggressive, I don't know, love it in your meta, and it keeps winning because it just keeps using burn spells over and over and over again, and then the other players are also people that are constantly casting Troubles and Thrillings, then this is something you could play to counter it. That being said, no, it's not going to be good. Yeah, it's probably unplayable, guys. Code Maze Himji Castle. Constant during your opponent's turn, while your opponent is choosing a target for a Signy's ability or Signy effect, they must target this Signy if able. Okay? So it redirects things to it. It's a level 3. It's 10,000 power. That is actually not a terrible ability. I'm going to say viable on this one. I don't think it's good, and I don't think it's going to see quite a lot of play, but it does redirect Lancelot effects to it, right? It does redirect a lot of, for example, life bursts, if it can redirect the life bursts to it. So it is a very good sort of redirection shield. 10,000 power is sadly not quite high enough. It needs to be 12,000 power for it to really, really effectively lightning rod things to itself. But 10,000 power will redirect quite a bit. If you are looking to wall up in white, and you don't have other level 3s, which there's a lot of steep competition at level 3s, then this might be a consideration. I would play this often if it was a level 2, just because it would just redirect everything and leave my level 3s to basically win the game. But that's what this is competing against. It's a lightning rod that's competing against win conditions in your deck. So that's why it's going to see less play. It's still viable. It still could catch people by surprise. If you're seeing a ton of Lancelots and Heras, then this might be something you want to consider. I think that's how they must target the Signy if able. So maybe it can't target it. I don't know exactly on the rules on this one. I'm just going to go ahead and say viable, and probably we'll never see it play. But we'll move on to something that we absolutely will see play. Now this says Zhaolang. It's not. Don't worry about that. It's the English name is Komei, so I'm going to call it Komei. It's a 12,000 power, level 3, Idletone Brave. It has a Harmony 1 green Elrig. Your auto is whenever one of your white Elrig attacks, you may down 2 of your upped Signy and pay white anything. If you do, you can up that Elrig, and that Elrig loses all of its abilities till end of turn. You should read that basically says that your Elrig can attack again. Auto, when this upped Signy is vanished, you can pay white colorless. If you do, you can put this Signy from the enter zone into the field downed. It's sticky, is basically what it's saying. It's hard to exactly get rid of. You can play around people trying to remove it, or attack with it by just leaving it up. Now, the big limiting factors on this is you can only play this with white Elrigs, and you can only do it if you have also a green Elrig on your team, right? That's its restrictions. That being said, the Japanese meta still will make dream teams with green Elrigs and a white Elrig just to play this card. It is quite strong. It is a staple. You will see this in the Japanese meta. They actually start using this as a 2 of, and then later down the line they start using it as a 4 of, and it just remains a 4 of in most decks that can play this. This is a card that you can build a deck around. It also unlocks something that white has not had the ability to do yet, which is a long game win condition. Generally speaking, you can play this in a certain way to make this stick around for a while. And if you do, you will be rewarded in the fact that you no longer need to lane open with this. You can just hit multiple times with an Elrig attack. You should note that it losing all of its abilities is quite important because it's sometimes a disadvantage. You're not going to get when this Elrig attacks triggers, but you also might get some advantages. For example, Endless Punchline will, the limiting factor of how many times you can attack a turn will go away, and now you can attack 4 times in one turn with an Endless Punchline. You probably should be trying to fit 4 of these into your Lion decks. You probably should be fitting 4 of these into any white Elrig deck that you have the ability to also have a green Elrig in it. And this will open up dream teams for you as well, and be quite powerful for opening up dream teams. This, I said before that you need a reason to break teams. This is a reason to break teams. All right, I've gushed about this enough. We're going to move on, and we're going to talk about Codeheart P and Light. This is a level 3 Signy with 10,000 power. It's got an auto ability of, at the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, target one of your opponent's Elrigs, and until end of turn, they gain the constant can attack unless they pay colorless. At the end of your turn, if you played a spell this turn, until the end of your opponent's next turn, this Signy gains Shadow Signy. It's got a life burst, choose one, draw a card, or target one of your opponent's up Signy and return to their hands. This card is good. There's a lot of good 3 level 1 white Signys now. You've got Arcwind to contend with. You also have Komei to contend with now. So this is a little tough to fit in. But if you're playing spells a lot, which, for example, is Hirana decks play quite a bit of spells, as do, sorry, not Hirano's decks, Akino decks play a lot of spells, and MC Lion decks play a lot of spells. This could be worth considering it. This also could be worth considering, for example, in something Tamago. Tamago also plays a fair amount of spells. At the end of your turn, so it does not give it its shadow during the attack phase, which is very powerful. It gets it only during the opponent's phase, and it's only Shadow Signy, so it's okay there. If it was powered less and could get hit by more Signy effects because it's powered less, then suddenly that Shadow Signy becomes more relevant. 10,000 is probably going to dodge most of the things that you're trying to dodge with Shadow Signy anyways. This ability that it gets is a little awkward timing because they'll be able to, for example, do things on their attack phase before attacking that might affect Codeheart before you get the chance to have your ability go off. So it might not be on the field when it goes off. Generally speaking, you want Signy that affect the field immediately, not things that affect your opponent's thing, although this is a strong ability. We're going to call this one viable. It's got tough competition, but it's got a powerful effect if it sticks around. You need to make it work in order for it to stick around, in order for you to get good value out of this card. So viable is the answer for this one. Then we have Shiran Kuji, Water Phantom Demon. This is a 10,000 level 3 Signy. It's got a constant ability as long as there are 3 or more cards in your hand. As long as there are more cards in your hand than your opponent's, the Signy gets plus 1,000 power for every card in difference. It also has an ability of going during your opponent's attack phase. If there's 6 or more cards in your hand, you get to draw an extra card. Its action is once a turn, you can pay white, discard 2 cards, target 1 Signy in your opponent's field, and then put it in the trash. This is actually, it seems clunky, but it's slightly more powerful than you'd recognize. Generally speaking, you're going to be playing this in a white-blue resource denial deck. That allows you to draw more cards. This Signy will get bigger than what your opponents can usually deal with, so it becomes quite a good defensive Signy at that point. It still empowers itself by drawing you extra cards, and then the fact that defensive decks usually have a hard time to break open lanes, this will break open lanes and also deny them, with the fact that you're probably discarding cards that you drew off of itself, where you're already a draw deck, so you have plenty of cards in hand, and you are probably looking at more discarding to hand size, so this gives you an out to hand size as well. This is quite a good card. It is optimal. I wouldn't say it's staple. It's slightly better than viable, so it stays in the optimal field. It'll help you end games of Wixoss, and it's good in specifically white-blue resource denial decks. That's really where you're going to want to play this card. Miracle Draw is our first white spell for this set. It's our first spell for the set, and it's got the ability of only casting cost is 1 white, so it's just cost white. While you're using the spell, you can exceed 4 if you'd like, and again, exceed 4 is a heavy cost. You can't exceed 4 twice. You can only exceed 4 or exceed 3. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Add up to 1 card from among them to your hand, put the rest on the bottom in any order. Additionally, if you exceed 4, you can add up to 2 cards into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom in any order. It's any cards that you want. This card is going to push aggro more away from blue and back into white. White gives a lot of aggro options that they want, including bounce and trashing things, and now it's going to be able to give it some draw at a very cheap cost. Granted, it's not always as good as blue draw, but this is good enough for what aggro decks are looking for. Just a quick refueling, and they're willing to burn things like Exceed for it. So I think this card is probably optimal. I don't know if it's extremely stapley. I think you'll find more ways to draw in white down the line, but right now this is a great idea for aggro decks to be using, especially if they just need more gas against their meta, because things are starting to turn longer and longer games, which is tending to happen in Wixoss right now in the meta. And that's our white set review. So if you guys liked it, you can always listen into more. You can subscribe to listen to more, comment down below. What I really want to know is how strong is white in this one? I think white is super strong in this set. And you're going to see a lot more white decks popping up. White might even finally be here and ready to take the mantle of best color in Wixoss out of red now, I think.